almost 3 years, I have been living in my car. I said it! Oh my God, it's out! I've been living in my car. Oh my gosh. If you remember, if you guys were with me in 2020, I did like 105,000 interviews. And in the interim, I was living with my parents in Vegas. And that was wonderful until it wasn't. I love my mom, but she became very angry. And a lot of her anger she was taking out on me, and I was her target all the time. And I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I respect her too much. I didn't understand it. I still don't. And it hurt me. So I was just trying to figure it out, but I couldn't. You can't read someone else's mind. You can't figure them out. They got to figure themselves out. So I was like, let me get out of here. And I was sleeping in my car for maybe about a month in Vegas. And then the guy that was co-managing me at the time was living in LA. He said, you need to come back to LA because it's going to be fire in Vegas. You need to come back. I love LA, so I said, okay. And he said that I could stay with him. And so I was like, okay. But you have a dog, I have a dog. And he's like, I don't have a lot of room, but I'll make room for you. And then when I got to his place, he actually didn't have room for me. So it turned into, okay, well, I'm going to put you in a hotel for the night. And that one night turned into 8 months. Oh, my God, you guys. I was like, no, this is unacceptable because every apartment that I looked at, every single time I looked at a place, I would call him and I'm like, okay, can you meet me here? I would tell him ahead of time, of course. And then he would meet me there, and so I would take video and send it to him. And he's like, no, oh my God, this neighborhood, I hate it. I'm like, dude, I'm the one who wants to live here. This is my remote for my phone. You can push play and pause and all that stuff, so that's why I'm holding this. Anyway, and it's way cheaper than a hotel. I told my assistant one day, I have been researching car life. There's a whole community of people that live in their cars, and a whole community of people that live in their RVs, and a whole community of people that live in vans. Van life, car life, RV life. And I loved what I was seeing. I just thought, wow, these people, I could do that. I could do this, I think. And I ended up in my car, and it's been, like I said, 3 years.
So how did she end up in that situation, right? Well, there's a clear path that led her there. It's very clear. Let's get to it. So, En Vogue, for a lot of y'all that don't know, was put together by an Oakland-based production and songwriting duo by the name of Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, right? Now, they had this idea of a modern-day girl group that can mimic the style and cadence of acts in the past, you know, like the Supremes, the girl groups of the 60s and 50s they were trying to emulate, right? That's what they were looking for. So they put together this audition, right? And around 3,000 women attended the audition. This was in 88. Dawn Robinson, Cindy Haran, Maxine Jones made the final cut. It was supposed to be a trio. It wasn't supposed to be, it was supposed to be a trio. And then Terry Ellis came along when her flight to a plane was late, and they were impressed with her. So they say, you know what? Instead of making it a trio, let's make it 4. We'll have 4 women, and we'll put this group together, and that's how it started, right? Now, the recording began in August of 1989 and wrapped up in December, and Born to Sing was released on April 3rd, 1990. The album peaked at number 21 on the Billboard 200 chart and number 3 on the Billboard's R&B albums chart. Excuse me. The first single, Hold On, was released to radio in late February 1990 and became a crossover pop hit, reaching number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart and number 1 on both the R&B singles and hot dance music club play charts. It later went to number 5 in the UK and became a hit in Europe, right? So, the album reached certified platinum. That album reached certified platinum. Then they came out with a second album called Funky Divas. It was released in the spring of 1992. The album debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200 and number 1 on the Billboard R&B, and ultimately doubled the take of his predecessor, going triple platinum. The album's first 2 singles, My Lovin', You're Never Gonna Get It, Giving Him Something He Can Feel, both went top 10 and peaked at number 1 on the R&B charts. The next single, Free Your Mind, also went top 10. The final 2 singles, Give It Up, Turn It Loose, and Love Don't Love You, were both top 40 hits. The album went on to sell more than 5 million copies, won an American Music Award for Favorite Soul and R&B Album. Right? So, the group was very successful. Very successful. So, when they started seeing all this success, right? And they continued to see success. They continue. They were making side projects. They did, they did Freedom. En Vogue. I don't know if y'all remember Mario Van Peebles' film Panther. Well, Panther. It's a great movie. But there was a song called Freedom. They was on that, right? They were in movies. They made a cameo appearance in Batman Forever. Then in '96 they recorded Love Don't Let Go, Love, for the soundtrack to the motion picture Set It Off, right? They released the soundtrack lead single in the fall of 1996, and it became the group's biggest hit yet, selling over 1.8 million copies worldwide and becoming certified platinum. And in response to this large commercial success, Don't Let Go, Love, the group worked on a third album. Now, this is where it gets shaky. Nearing the group's third album, Dawn Robinson wanted out. And here's the reason why she wanted out. But first, let me tell you what she initially said. She said that the reason why she left was because of Denzel. The people who put them together, the people, the 2 guys that put them together, she said that he was basically saying that she didn't like the way he was talking to her. All right?
Like, okay, after a while, at first I was like, oh, Denny, don't say that, oh no. And we would leave. But after a while I was like, okay, you guys, it's becoming a habit that Denny talks to us this way. So I know.
Now, if you see right here, right? This right here is Denzel Foster. Him right here. And this is Thomas McElroy. Now, they did a lot when it comes to writing songs, and they wrote for a lot of people. They really wrote for a lot of people. They put them together, right? When they put them together, Dawn started becoming a problem. And the reason why she became a problem is it's understandable, but she turned on the group. She turned on the group. And I'm gonna tell you, and then she made it seem like Denzel, right? Denzel, right? She made it seem like he was the issue. The guy that actually put them in a game, she tried to blame it on him. What it really was is that when they dropped their first album, when they dropped their first album, they got $40K to split. $10K a piece, right? Now, if you know about the 90s, the 80s, the 60s, everybody was getting jerked. Everybody was getting robbed. You could not escape it. Everybody. You had to find a way to get your money on the back end. That's what most artists was doing. Why you think Prince decided to bow out? He didn't want them making any more money off of him, so he just named himself the artist. Because he realized how much the record companies were jerking him, right? But a lot of artists dealt with it because they thought, well, where else I'm going to get the opportunity to make this much money on the back end? And when I'm talking about back end, right, I'm talking about merchandising and endorsement deals. Those endorsement deals and the merchandise, that's where the real money is at. Look at these basketball players. When you look at these basketball players, right, they'll show you their contract, and then you see the endorsement deal from Nike, Adidas, and you be like, wow, the endorsement deals is huge. The endorsement deals is what really gets them the money and the merchandising. They can go to these concerts that are packed. They can go to these concerts. That's what a lot of artists was doing, going to these concerts that was packed, bring their merchandise and sell it themselves and make a small fortune doing tours that way. So that's what the original members were on. They like, listen, we're getting jerked, but we're going to make this money on the back end. She did not want to hear it. She didn't want to hear it. So she showed MC Hammer, right? MC Hammer, her contract. MC Hammer looked at the contract and said, yeah, you're getting robbed. He took her to one of his lawyers, right? And she found a way to get out of the contract. MC Hammer did that, y'all. Got her out of the contract. Now, from then on, all she have to do is, if she's going to continue to be in music, all she really have to do is read the contract, go back and forth. Don't just sign anything. Make sure the next contract you sign, it is better for you, it's something that you agree with. Make sure you do that next time, since you didn't like this contract. And I can understand the first time, they're young, they don't know nothing about the business, but you wanted out because you felt you were getting robbed and you decided you can do better elsewhere and you left. Instead of saying that, you didn't have to blame this guy right here who gave you an opportunity to make millions. You didn't have to do that. He had nothing to do with it. Look at all the other members. This video of them talking about the formation of the group, you know how old this video is? It's only 4 years old. So if the court, look at, these are the members, these are the group members, the rest of them, if they're still cool with them, right, have no animosity towards them, then who was the problem in that situation? They understood the assignment with these guys. These guys told them, listen, yeah, you're getting robbed. This happens with most artists. Yeah, you're going to get robbed here. It's a stick up, yes. But you're going to be able to make this much money on the back end. You can still make a couple of million, each of y'all, on the back end through the tours. You can still make money through the merchandising, and we got these endorsement deals. They said, you know what? Let's do it. They signed the contract again that also gave them the same amount of money from the first contract, right? What did Dawn Robinson do? What did she do? Now follow where I'm going. Remember, she blamed the guys that brung her into the business, right? But it wasn't their contract. It was Atlantic contract. They were signed to Atlantic Records. It wasn't their contract. It was Atlantic. They all had contracts. They all had contracts. It wasn't like these guys drew up the contracts. They took that group and brung them to Atlantic, right? And Atlantic gave her, hey, this is what we're signing, and she blamed it on those guys. So now she gets, a helping hand, because she's out there. She's literally out there. She's trying to get back into the business, but Atlantic is putting the word out. No, she's not. She's difficult to work with. Her group members are even coming out saying she's being a diva, which was hilarious. They literally said that she was being a diva. You had an album called Funky Divas. But anyway, so she's having a hard time, right? Getting a contract, so Raphael Sadiq from Tony told her, hey, he's starting a group, right? Now this is supposed to be a super group, if you ask me. You got Raphael Sadiq from Tony, you got Dawn Robinson from En Vogue, and then you got Ali Shaheed from A Tribe Called Quest. This is one of these super groups, right? So he decided to give her, he said, listen, this is what we're doing with the group. You can be a part of it. And he said, I already wrote the song. Y'all remember the song Dance Tonight that came out? I think that came out like in 2000. He formed the group in 99, and I think the song came out like 2000. Anyway, so here we go again with the contracts, right? Here we go again with the contracts. She blames Raphael Sadiq for the contract. She didn't like the contract. You would think that she's been in the business. Her main gripe was the contract. She blames Raphael Sadiq, even though Raphael Sadiq didn't draw up this contract. They were signed as a group to EMI Records. EMI drew up the contracts. Yet, here she go, blaming Raphael Sadiq.
So, Raphael talks to you about the group. Now, You must have had a little bit more knowledge about labels and deals and stuff. What was the situation when he said, look, hey, Lucy Pearl, did you look at the contract and think, okay, I'm not going to get 2 cents a record and stuff?
I didn't do the right thing because, like I said, Raphael, I had known him literally since we were both 16 years old. So he played in my band in San Francisco. I knew him. I was comfortable with him. He was like my brother, and we had grown up together. So I didn't feel like he was going to step on me with that contract. I thought he was going to be fair and have my back, and he did not.
It's not his contract.
Poor.
He gave you the same contract he received. Now his let me retract that. He gave you a contract, right? Not the same contract. He gave you a contract from the same record label. That's what he gave you the contract from the same record label. Y'all were signed as an act. He gave you the contract that they wanted you to have, and he had his contract. Ali Shaheed had their contract. Guess what Raphael Sadiq did with his contract? He kept negotiating. He didn't accept it. Ali Shaheed also didn't accept the contract. They showed you the contract that EMI was giving to you. He didn't draw it up. So remember, even let's just say for the sake of argument that Raphael Sadiq actually drew up the contract. Is it still his fault if she signed it? Remember, she's been in the business. She's been in the business at this point in time about a decade. Her gripe was the contract before, remember, right? So you get another contract and you don't look at it, you don't say, nah, I'm not cool with this contract. You automatically say, you know what, I knew him for years. No. You accepted the contract. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because after they signed the contract, they still went on to do shows. They still went on to do to do more music. That wasn't just the they did another song together. They did another song before after Dance Tonight. They did another song. The second single was Don't Mess With My Man, which received chart success outside the United States. In October 2000, Robinson left the group. So she left the group because she signed. After she signed, that's when she realized she didn't like. You could have just kept negotiating, but you signed the contract, and instead of dealing with, hey, you know what? I signed this contract. Let me make the best of it. Let me do what I should be doing, right? Let me do what I should be doing. Let me work with this contract and get my money on the back end. No. She threw Raphael Sadiq under the bus and then went on about her business as usual. So, what happens next, right? What happens next is she decides she wants to leave. She leaves, right? But the album still haven't dropped. The album itself didn't drop, right? You saw the single, but the album didn't drop. So, she was wondering, when is the album going to drop? Because when the album dropped, that's when she can get an advance, right? The album, you have the single, but the album needs to drop for her to get an advance, right? So, he said he's not dropping the album. This is what he said. He said he's not dropping the album. You could tell Raphael Sadiq was upset because she pretty much blamed him. And he like, wow, I extended my arm out. I extended my hand out to you, and you blew up on me, all right, I'm not dropping the album at all. So he didn't drop the album. She loses her house. This is where it starts at. She loses her house. And since she loses her house, she blames it on Raphael Sadiq. And said that Raphael Sadiq was jealous of her and Muhammad Ali. I mean, not Ali. That's about now. Ali. She, Ali. She said that that he was jealous of both of them. Now, if you don't know, that sounds outrageous. Raphael Sadiq is one of the most decorated musicians out there. He writes, he sings. He's one of the best of the best. The best of the best would tell you that he's the best. This guy is extremely talented. I remember listening to his solo project. What album? What album is let me I need to tell y'all the album. I remember listening to it. I remember listening to this album. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah, The Way I See It. That album, The Way I See It, came out in 2008. That album's incredible. That album is incredible. I'm not talking about his work with Tony Tone, but that album's incredible. But for her to say that he was jealous was insane. So, she loses her house, and what she tried to do is start a rift between these two guys, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Raphael Sadiq and Ali sat down, had a discussion, right? And said, the real problem, it isn't us. We're not the problem here. She's the problem. And you know what? They replaced her. They replaced her with Joy, a singer by the name of Joy. And she got upset about it. I don't understand why she got upset about it. Because she left. She said that she didn't know she was replaced until being contacted for an interview by Rolling Stone magazine. Why would you care? You left though, right? You left. So, that happened. That happened there. Now, this leads us here. Why are you having problems with your mother? And why are you bringing it to social media? Your mother's just trying to give you a place to stay. Why are you having issues with your mother? Because you don't like her telling you about yourself? You don't like her reminding you of all the chances you had? Parents, no matter how old their children get, no matter, you can be 50 and your parents can be 80. They still gonna look at things that you did in the past, and if it led you to where you at now, they're still gonna check you. They're gonna tell you how they feel. Like, wow, you really squandered all all your opportunities, and now we're here. And you know what they're going to talk about? Your attitude. How come in each situation you're the common denominator? How come every time you have an issue with people, you never say, you know what, maybe I could have did things this way, maybe I could have did things that way. You know what her net worth is right now? Remember, she left. Remember, she left the group. I don't know what she thought, but she left. So if she left the group to get a better deal, right? If she left the group because she thought she can do better, then she should be richer than all the other En Vogue members, right? Let me tell you what her net worth is right now. It's $10,000. That is her net worth. 10 grand. Maxine Jones is worth $5 million. Terry Ellis, you know how much? She's worth $7 million. Remember, they stayed. Cindy Haran is worth $7 million. You know, this is gonna hurt even more. This, you know, they added another member to replace her later, right? Like real later. When she left, they still went on, but they found a member to replace her. Her name is Rona Bennett. She started in 2003. You want to know what her net worth is? She's not even an original member. She started, 14 years later. You know what her net worth is? $4 million. $4 million. Your net worth is $10,000. All the other members and members that came way late, and a member that came way later, they understood the assignment. They listened to Denzel Foster and Thomas McEnroy. I think I'm saying it. McEnroy. McEnroy. I think I'm saying his name right. They told the group, hey, listen, this is what's going to happen. This is what you can do. You can leave you cannot sign these contracts, right? And you can try to go out there. Yeah, because you got to remember, this is before social media. This is before, the internet. You had the internet, but this is before, all these engines now that you can do right now. For the last 10 years, you really don't need a record label. You don't need the distribution from them. You can do all this on your own now. You have more independent artists now than ever because you have all these engines that you can use. You have Instagram, you have Twitter, now known as X, you have you have YouTube, you have so many that you can build your own website. You got so many engines that can get your music out there now. TikTok, you don't need these engines. You don't need, record labels or, distribution deals and all. You don't need them no more. You needed that engine back then to push you forward. You needed that backup. You needed that back then. They would do that. They would push you out there. You needed the marketing. They knew how to market. You don't need that now. You don't need that now. But back then you did. So when she left, they told her, hey, listen, what are you going to do now? Denzel Foster said, what are you going to do now? You can either, go sign this contract, or you can leave and deal with the harsh realities out there in the world. At least here, there's an opportunity for you to still make millions. Matter of fact, not an opportunity, it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed that you're going to get millions on the back end. And if not millions, the least is hundreds of thousands of dollars on the back end. This was their way of thinking. At least hundreds of thousands, at least 500,000 on the back end. Now tell me, where you going to get that going out there into the world doing what? What skills do you have? What work experience? This what you can do. She told them, no, I can do better. I don't like the contract. Now, if you don't like the contract and you think you can do better, that's fine. The contract sucked. Yeah, the contract was garbage. But if you think you can do better out there, go right ahead. And if you do better, props to you. It's been done before. We saw Ice Cube leave NWA and become bigger. We seen Dr. Dre. We saw him. We saw when he left. He left Death Row, started Aftermath Records. We saw people leave and become successful. We saw that. We saw them leave with nothing and become successful. You left with nothing. So if it works for you, salute to you, right? If it works for you. But if it doesn't, don't go blaming everybody. Don't go blaming everybody, pointing the fingers, because it wasn't just your decision making, it was your attitude. Everybody said your attitude was the problem. And then when people are looking at her and blaming everybody else, they're not even looking at that she even have issues with her own mother. Now you're throwing your mother under the bus at 58. You 58 years old, throwing your mother under the bus. So that goes to question, well, if you were that terrible with all these people, right? If you was difficult with all these people, even your own parents, how were you when you were married? How were your relationships? The marriage didn't work out, and then you ended up on reality TV. And you was with a dude on reality TV. Where'd that relationship go? Don't ask her. Don't ask her about those relationships, because if you ask her, what is she going to say? It was all their fault. Right.
Poor.